A really nice meeting today. Good afternoon, Miranda.
Hi, Andre. Hi, everybody.
I think if you can make Patrick the co-host or so that he can go through his slides.
I made you the co-host, Andre. Patrick, you
Okay.
can, yeah. So you can assist with if we need to mute or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he will be able to show his presentation, eh?
Who's sharing screen at the moment, Patrick?
Patrick is sharing right now.
Yeah.
We just tested it before the meeting to see that everything is
Yeah,
fine.
it's up. We can.
You know how many people RSVP'd?
Not quite much, but it was, I think, about 12 or so. But we left it in the group, so
Yeah.
just ask them to remind them.
What we'll do is put a YouTube clip on to the group
Yes.
and also a PDF of the slides. And hopefully that will also be of use. And then the other people that are attending can also go and tell all their friends why this is such an important area of your business.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll wait a few minutes. We're early, so we can start just now.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen, Andre?
Yes, I can see your
Yes,
screen. You can just enlarge it.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, you know, when you click at the bottom so that your side ones disappear.
Okay.
increase your percentage, Patrick, and then press presentation.
Hmm.
Maybe stop sharing and then increase your percentage at the bottom and then
Okay.
check here.
Okay, it's fine.
You need to click that little next to the percentage button, that little, it looks almost like a wine glass.
Okay.
Right next to your, on the bottom of your screen where your minus and plus sign of your is.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Now you can just scroll back to your first page.
Okay. It's fine. Let me leave it here for now.
But it's not full screen, right, Andre?
Is it?
Can you see it full screen or is it just on one side?
No, I can see full screen. Can you see full screen?
I can see one side and on my one side is participants. Okay, all right,
Okay.
cool. I enlarged. Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
I'm just muting all the other people.
Yeah.
I think let's give another minute or so and then we can start.
Okay.
For those that are here, welcome today. It's really an honor and a privilege to have one of our own incubators here today to present. Patrick does insurance and I think short-term insurance, and he'll go through all the things. But today specifically, we want to talk about public liability, and I think most probably one of the most important things that you need to have in your business is public liability insurance. And what I'm finding through our coaching and through our talking is that I'm not so sure that many of the business owners have public liability insurance. So Patrick is going to explain to us why it is so crucial and what is the consequences if you don't have public liability insurance. So Patrick, very welcome here, and I think over to you. Let's not let everybody wait. The ones that come late can join.
Awesome. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Andre, for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. It's a wonderful platform for me. I don't often really get that opportunity to, present to a large group like this, and especially the entrepreneurs, because I am in this world as well. And like you rightfully said, these are business art. And we have chosen the topic today, public liability, because of the importance of public liability. But before we go further, maybe for the purposes of introduction, my name is Patrick Manhe, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm the owner of an insurance franchise that is sponsored by Momentum Consult. But good about it is the fact that I'm contracted to various financial service providers or insurance companies, quite a number of them, which really helps me to be able to provide a broad spectrum of solution to SMMEs and other clients. And these companies include Momentum Short Term, especially because the public liability is or falls under the short-term type of insurance. There is also Santam, the biggest insurer, Old Mutual Insure, My Way, Gut Risk, and a number of them. Now, in terms of experience, I have really spent a number of years in the financial services industry, and that ranges from banking, insurance, as well as my transport and logistics business. And I'm a transport owner owning a number of fleet and trucks in the area of Kuhlman. And that's my business card. For those who haven't met me as yet, that is Patrick in his office. And when we speak about public liability, what exactly is public liability and what is the purpose of this policy? Really, the public liability purpose is to protect our businesses against a number of civil and legal claims from third parties. And in fact, the list of these claims, it's endless. When you look at all of them, it scares you when you think of how many times one has had this number of claims, the type of claims or incidences. And just, recently my business was involved in a public liability claim or a third-party claim, which was not successful. And just this morning, very strangely, I got a call informed about a possible claim that my business will be facing. So as small businesses, this is crucially important because there are a number of things that can happen, either the closure of your business or leaving your business in debt. And in fact, when you look at public liability, it is unique to all different types of businesses. When you look at the hospitality industry, there are a number of risks that one should look at, which might be different from another type of business. So we will go through some of these risks. As I was doing my research, I could see that Aon suggests that these are some of the top 5 risks in the hospitality industry, because most of us are operating in this industry. A natural catastrophe. Recently, that happened in KZN as well as Eastern Cape. A number of businesses were affected. And in the absence of relevant covers, you can imagine what's going to happen or what has happened already to this type of businesses. Property insurance, our businesses are not operating in air or somewhere in isolation. They operate from either your own financed property or a property that the business has financed, and that needs to be protected against claims. Liability insurance. Liability insurance is quite broad. There's quite a number of them. Some falls outside the scope of public liability, but I will briefly go through that. And the compliance with the legislation. We are operating within the municipal boundaries. There are municipal bylaws that we need to comply with, failing which we are likely to face claims either from the municipalities or from the clients or anyone. When you look at strikes, the areas where our businesses operate, there are strikes and service delivery, protest, but that is covered as part of our policy by a body that is called SASRIA. It is an integral part of our policies. All policies issued by South African insurance companies do have the SASRIA that will be paid. So the insurance companies are the collecting agents of SASRIA. So that part is covered. It is part of our policy. It is compulsory. Now, when looking at the relevant claims, what are we talking about when we talk about the claims within our industry, especially? You've got people working in your yard, and these people are susceptible to claims, including the guests who are just working in your yard. If something happened to that guest, the guest has got the right to submit a claim against your business. Are you ready? I was a bit worried when Andre said there's that possibility. Of course, it is also my experience that a number of businesses do not have the public liability cover, which is actually something very affordable. And in the event of the absence of public liability cover or a short-term insurance, one can face serious claims from your guests. Just your guests working around your property, that is a risk. We provide food to our clients, either at an event or at your own business. And there's a very thin line between the correct or right food and contamination of food. And something very serious may happen. We need to guard against that and make sure that we have the right cover in place. We all have vehicles used by our businesses. That vehicle needs to have insurance, and public liability is an integral part of the insurance for your business. In the event where your vehicle hits another vehicle or another person, you'll be faced with a claim. And in that event, your short-term policy should be able to help. In your own yard, when a tree falls from your yard, falling into a neighbor's yard, damaging the vehicle or a house or anything, that is a claim that may arise. And unfortunately, you will be responsible for that. The premises security lapse, the security of your premises, it's important so that it does not open you up for claims against the third parties. The cybersecurity breaches, especially at that time of the COVID, where people transacted with you and they made claims thereafter, we need to make sure that that breach is prevented. Employment-related claims, your employees can lay claims against you for either UIF contributions or because they got hurt while they were working for you, we need to have a relevant cover in place. So these are all the different types of events that may arise. And unfortunately, you end up having a claim on your table. What do you do with that? What is the solution that you need to have? Now, the question that comes up is my business covered anywhere for public liability cover? The answer is yes and no. And why that yes and no is because the liability must arise at your own premises. the premises where you operate, that liability should arise there. If not, then the liability must arise where you are working. You are executing a work, for instance, you have a tender and you are providing service at the stadium, and it happens that the stadium, unfortunately, the person from who you have rented the tent, a big tent, that person has provided you with a tent. In terms of who takes over the risk, that needs to be discussed between you and that person, saying that in the event where this tent falls on these people, who is going to take up cover? Is it me as the person hosting the catering, or is it the owner of the tent? Those terms needs to be clear. There are instances where, as a business owner, you will have to be responsible for the safety of the people attending the event. You need to be sure that you are covered in terms of that. That is why my answer there is yes or no. That is very important. You need to make sure at all times that these terms are very clear. Quite often when we change insurance policies, there's going to be what we call a cover, or you may find that before you change insurance policy, something happened and there was a claim at the time when you were with insurer A. Now you are going to... Is there any questions? Okay, I was saying, when you change insurance, we need to make sure that you are sure as to what is behind. Are you not leaving a claim behind that should have been covered by your previous insurer? And there's what we call extended retroactive cover. What does that mean? It means that you are going to the new insurer and you say in that insurer, I'm not aware of any claim that may have arisen before coming over to you. Let me take up a cover for in the event there is that cover that comes in the next 3 months or 6 months or so that you know that you are covered, because that does happen. For instance, a claim that I'm talking about now, it's something that happened last year around August. It's well over 6 months or 8 months or so. Now, if I have changed insurance, it would mean that if that was not covered, I will be left stranded. So we need to make sure all the time when we change insurance companies that we're sure about what happened before. Was that covered? And when you go further to the new insurer, will that be covered? It is critically important. When we have questions, let us please ask so that we don't forget. Now, as I asked earlier on, does public liability cover all the risks? No, it doesn't. There are other types of risks that are faced by, or that our businesses are facing, which are liability covers, but of different sort. And these covers need to be specified in your policy. We are talking today about public liability cover. However, it is not one size fits all. It doesn't cover everything. So we need to be clear that some of the things that we can experience as business owners are covered in your short-term policy. For instance, employer's liability cover, a claim may arise when that involves the claim or the injury to one of your employees. That cover needs to be specified in your policy, because your employee is not covered under the normal public liability cover. Then we are offering food to our guests. There is what we call product defective or workmanship liability cover, where you are held liable for the damages to a third-party property or anything. That is possible. A business interruption as well. It was quite a serious debate. It was a court battle between the insurance companies and businesses at the time of the COVID, where businesses could not operate. Something very simple. For instance, the municipality is busy, or Eskom or Telkom, they are busy digging trenches in front of your property, and you are not able to operate. Business interruption will be able to help you to pay you your gross income for a certain period that might have been specified in your policy. Whether that is 6 months or 12 months, for that period, you will be paid income that you generate on a monthly basis. So that is important, and it is not covered under public liability. That is why I have to bring it here, so that we don't look at public liability not paying attention to other very important risks. So this business interruption cover is very important, as equally important as others. Statutory defense.
Sorry, can I maybe just comment there, Patrick?
Yes, Andre.
And that is why it is so important that you need to have accurate bookkeeping, because when you have business interruption, the first thing they're going to say to you is you need to prove how much money you've lost, and you're going to have to show them your books. So if you don't do your books or don't do your bookkeeping, it is very difficult to motivate business interruption. Am I correct, Patrick?
You are 100% correct, Andre. Normally, when a person submits a claim, insurance companies are going to ask questions. And at the time when they ask questions, as clients, we often say they are asking a lot of questions, but they are asking questions to ascertain the values insured. When you say that I'm generating 100,000 a month as my gross income, you need to be able to justify that. By so doing, you will be expected to submit your financial statements. You should be having financial statements in place, the monthly management accounts, that will be able to prove to the insurer. And when you are able to prove that to the insurance company, by all means, they will be able to pay. And so Andre is quite right. We need to make sure that we have our books in place on a month-to-month basis. On a month-to-month basis, because if you leave them until the tax clearance expire, then you may not have the documents to prove your monthly expenses and your income. So this is very important, critically important. Thank you, Andre. The statutory defense costs, it's important that we include in our policies this benefit, so that in the event where you are faced with a public liability claim, you know that you report the matter to your insurer. The insurer will then appoint the legal advisor who will work with you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the claims arising from the businesses are very huge. They will either close down your business, and once your business is closed, there's that possibility that you will still be left with lots and lots of debts after your business has been closed by a public liability claim or any liability claim. And the premium, it's really something that a person cannot worry about. Absolutely not worry about. Other optional covers include liability arising from defective workmanship. I've already spoken about that, from the food that you provide, and anything that occurs at your premises, damage to property, and also the third fire. It happens that a fire starts in your yard, and it goes to another neighbor's yard, and that whole yard burns down to ashes. That would be your responsibility. We need to make sure that we have these covers in place. What do we do then when we have when we want to mitigate these risks? It's important that, ladies and gentlemen, we have the short-term insurance cover in place. That is when now the public liability cover will be incorporated. It is part and parcel of the cover. But one thing important also is the value that a business is covered for. It is good to have cover, but it is also critically important that you have the right amount of cover in place, so that when something happens, you know that you are adequately covered. There are instances where we speak about being undercovered and being overcovered. It be better even for one to be overcovered than to be covered less than the correct values of your business. And for you to have a policy in place, there is what we call business needs analysis that needs to be done, which is going to look at your entire business, your business assets, your business liabilities, and all of that, so that in the event of any claim, you know that a business analysis has been fully conducted and it covers all the relevant risks. There are instances where you really need to have 10 risks covered in your business. But in terms of the income, it is not able to cover that. So it is best that you have a little bit of each, but knowing that you have covered the majority of the risks involved in your business. And you can also get more insurance quotations, like I indicated that I am contracted to a number of insurance companies. it is important that you get 1, 2, 3 quotes so that you compare not only premiums, but also the cover terms and conditions, because at times they are different. You think that something has been covered there and it is not covered. So it's best that one sit down with you and really go through all the terms and conditions of the policy. It may not be possible to go through all of them, but we really sit down and talk about your business, what are the risks, and how do you then cater for these risks or try to avoid them. And then you make a decision. And it is then important, ladies and gentlemen, that there is what we call the risk that you as the client takes or assume, and the risk that the insurance company then assume. Your responsibility, rather, it is to make sure that you pay the premiums when due, so that the insurer is able to pay a claim when the claim arises. That is critically important. Now, my support as a broker, as an entrepreneur, I want to really offer you a free review of your company short-term policy. I'm hoping that we all have that in place. If you don't have, I'm able to come to your premises or be able to have a chat so that I can look at your business needs, offer you a free business needs analysis. We write it down. We say these are all the covers that you need to have in place, and offer you a number of free comparative quotes. We go through them. And or alternatively, you do have a policy, I can take over your existing portfolio without any changing the insurance company because I'm contracted to a number of them. But I want to share another screen where I'm going to show you the public liability as it appears in the insurance schedule. Please allow me, give me a few seconds just to change the screen. Can we see the new screen? Andre?
Yes,
We
yes.
can do
Awesome.
that.
Awesome. I think that is page 5. When you look at the screen, you will see that there are covers there, and at the bottom it indicates that there's a third-party liability cover of about 2.5 million, and this schedule indicates that the cover is included as part of this policy, as well as other covers as well. And there is also the vehicle loss of use there. It is not part of public liability, but it is another cover that you have in the event where your vehicle is more like a rental of vehicle. The vehicle that you use for your business, in the event that vehicle is involved in the business, it shows that there's a payment of 1,500 per day. These are some of the things that we need to have in place. But you can see that the public third-party liability cover is 2.5 million. I was referring to this earlier on, that it's important for us to have the correct amount of cover in place, because the claim may go beyond 2.5 million. You're able to increase that value up to 5 million, even up to 10 million, when you see that your business is operating at that level. And when it comes to the amounts, you see that that is included in that premium of the policy. I also want to go to page 8. That includes the premium. You see, there's another third-party liability cover that only covers the trailer. I think so, because that one covers another asset. So the premium there is 2,500, but it is part of this premium. It is included in the policy, because it is also important for one to say, when I want to take a policy, how much am I going to pay for 1 million cover or for 2.5 million cover? It is an integral part of your policy. So, but it will affect your policy, but to a very, very minimal extent. It is nothing that one should be worried about when you think about how much am I going to pay for this policy, whether my business will afford this policy or not. It's important, because we don't really keep a lot of money aside for when this claim arises. Is there any question, ladies and gentlemen?
Patrick, there are quite a few questions in the chat box, and I'm gonna maybe just read them. I don't know if
Okay.
you want to, you can stop sharing that screen and maybe, I don't know, show your face or,
Okay.
I just want to go through the top here. Jennifer asked, is it compulsory to have public liability insurance certificate for each and every project? Or some of the projects? So I think she refers to if she has an event company, does she need to have public liability for every single event, or will the policy cover variety of events that she might have over a period of time? Am I correct,
Awesome.
Jennifer?
Oh,
Am I correct? Am I correct when you say that, Jennifer?
You're 100% correct, Andre. Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andre. Can I answer?
Yeah, you can, absolutely.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that question. In fact, I do have clients who normally hold events in different places. And every time that happens, a client would call me and say that I'm asking for proof of public liability cover, because when they go to these events, either the police or some officials from the law enforcement, they would then ask for proof of public liability. And I will then ask for proof of public liability from that client's insurer. That will indicate that there will be an event from the 10th to the 15th of June at a certain place. Then when that person has got that activity, he or she is able to prove that to any official. But you don't need to have a different sort of public liability covers for different events. Your business is operating under this industry, so it will be covered for a number of events under your industry. So it will cover a number of events.
I think the important thing there is the amount that you covered for. If it's
Exactly.
if you're running small events and then big events, and variety of the events is making sure that the value of what you covered for is appropriate.
And Andre, if I may just add to that, there are instances where your business will need a 5 million cover, but then you go into an event that requires 10 million cover. You can actually increase your cover just for that event. And after the event, you will then reduce your cover to the cover that is required by your business. It does not have to stay at one amount, as Andre said, but that is very important. So you really need to be in contact with your broker so that every time you have an event, you make sure that your covers are in line with events or the risk that you're facing at a particular period.
And then she asked, does it cover immediately or is there a waiting period?
Public liability, as well as the entire short-term insurance cover, it covers you from day one. The day the insurer accepts that risk, then you are covered. It may happen that the insurer say you will pay your premiums on the 30th, and today is the 10th. You will be covered from the 10th, while the premium might be deducted in the next 3 days or at the end of the month. But you will be covered from day one. When the insurer accepts that risk, then you are covered. So there's no waiting period.
And then she asked, is there a maximum term or is it whole life cover?
Normally, the whole life term, we use it in terms of the long-term insurance type of cover. But for the short-term, as long as the policy exists, where you pay the premium for this month from the first of the month in advance for the whole month, then you will be covered. For as long as you're happy having that insurance in place, you will be covered. In terms of law, the insured, being your business, can inform the insurer that I'm canceling my policy effective today. However, the insurance company is not allowed to cancel your insurance today. They need to give you a 30-day notice period. But the insured can cancel the policy the same day. So I would not want to use that term in terms of short-term insurance cover. the policy will be in place for as long as the contract exists between the insured and the insurer.
Okay, then the next question, is it a flat rate premium or does it increase every year with inflation?
Thank you very much for the question. The short-term policy increases every year. However, there are also possibilities that the premium may go down. But recently, what we have experienced, the premiums have been going up relative to the inflation. And some of the reasons, even it may go up without you having submitted a claim in the previous year. And what is the cause of that? It is because the parts are going up, because the fuel has been going up. When the fuel goes up, it affects everything else, like the parts and everything. Now that causes the insurer to increase the premium relative to the prices of the parts, because the parts are expensive. Previously, we used to know that when you did not have a claim in the previous year, and upon a review, your insurance premium may go down. But that doesn't happen anymore because of the increases in terms of the price of the parts.
And just a comment from my side. I'm not going to say which insurance company I'm with, but every year I get like a 27 or a 30% increase on my premium. And then I'll phone them and normally the call center will say, okay, I can improve it. And then I say, no, I want to speak to the manager and I want you to look at my premium. And if it's unreasonable, I will look for another insurance company. And every single year they've reviewed it and they've made it reasonable. So just my recommendation, and this is not a take on Patrick to say that the organization or the insurance companies are not legitimate with what they're doing. He's completely right with saying that costs are gone up, but don't just accept your premium, go and negotiate. But if I'm saying is, if you are going to be jumping around from insurance company to insurance company, make sure that you then compare apples with apples. You can't, but if you stay with the same insurance companies, by all means, go and negotiate your premium, but make sure that they then don't just bring your premium down, but they make your excess payment higher. So maybe, I don't know, you want to comment on that, Patrick, maybe?
That's correct. That is very important, Andre, because quite often when a person does not pay attention to the amount of excess, which is the first amount payable when there is a claim, at the time of a claim, then you are surprised that you have to pay 10,000, 50,000 or so, because there are instances where insurance brokers will try to reduce your premium by increasing the excess. And if you're not aware of that, you might be surprised. But it's also important that you keep your excess as low as possible, because we don't really keep money aside for when the accident happens and make provision for the excess. There is a standard excess and there is excess reducer, but make sure that you understand how much you'll have to pay when there is excess. I was called by a friend of mine yesterday saying that a person, and the person unfortunately passed away. These are some of the accidents that, or the claims that we were faced with. And then the insurer was saying, or the panel bidder rather was saying, you need to pay excess before so that I can order the parts. Whereas we know that normally the excess is payable when your vehicle or your claim has been dealt with or completed. But here is a surprise now where you have to pay excess so that the panel bidder can order parts. So we don't keep money aside. Make sure that you understand the amount of excess that you need to pay, and please try to keep it as low as possible.
Any other questions from anybody else that want to query anything, whether it is public liability and I think specifically, and I'm talking here about the bed and breakfast. The bed and breakfast that want to get graded, one of the conditions is that they need to have public liability insurance. So
That's correct.
That's definitely one of the things that people that run guest houses and bed and breakfast needs to look at. whether they want to be graded or not, just by mere fact that they're serving food, they might have slippery stairs, they might have curbs, they might, they might fall, break a leg, whatever, and they will come after you for public liability. So I really encourage you guys to take public liability insurance very, very, very serious. Now, when Patrick showed those premiums, those were all inclusive premiums for many, many, many other things. But I think if you talk plain about, let's say, R1 million insurance, it's not going to be a lot of money. And I don't know if Patrick wanna maybe give us a ballpark figure of, let's say, what R1 million worth of public liability insurance will be.
Thank you so much, Andre, for that. It's very important. You know, the short-term premiums are risk-based. Risk-based meaning every individual will be assessed based on your different risks after doing a risk analysis. So all I can tell you, colleagues, the public liability premium, it's part and parcel of the policy. It is nothing to be worried about. You can actually have a policy of 200 Rand, 300 Rand, 500 Rand, but knowing that if the covers, the amount of covers are not sufficient at the time of inception of the policy, at the time of review, or even before review, you are able to call your broker and say, I would like to correct those amounts of covers because at the time when I was applying for a policy, I couldn't afford 100% of the cover that you recommended based on the risks of my policy. So it is nothing really to be worried about. We don't have exact or fixed premiums for public liability. I can't say that for R1 million is this much. It's not like an investment, but it is included in your premium, calculated as part and parcel of your premium, but it is nothing really to be worried about. There are other instances. If I can make an example, Andre, it is not relevant, but it will make sense. When you have a vehicle that it is paid up, quite often people will take that out of insurance because the premium is 500 or 1,000 or so when the vehicle has been comprehensively insured. The alternative to comprehensive insurance would be so that one can take an affordable premium. What we say, the vehicle will be covered for third party, for a fire, for theft and hijack. And you find that the premium you're going to pay around one third of what you were paying when you were comprehensively insured. What will be the benefit of that? You know that in the event of a third party claim, the insurer is going to pay 100%. In the event where your vehicle hits a Mercedes-Benz that was released from the garage to a value of 1 million, the insurance will pay that 1 million, but the insurance will not pay your own damages. So I'm just saying for those vehicles which are paid up, just insure them for that minimal cover so that especially the third party is covered when your damages are not covered. That is just an alternative. So I'm saying short-term policy, it's quite reasonable, ladies and gentlemen. At least sit down with your broker so that you go through everything and you put a minimal cover in place as opposed to not having everything. Andre indicated earlier on that in terms of grading for hospitality industry, you need public liability cover. But not only for that, for any risk that your business faces, it's critically important because that will run you completely out of business and even leave you with huge debts. Thanks, Andre.
Any other questions from anybody that want to ask, whether it is public liability or just general in terms of insurance, things that they're not sure about? Anybody want to ask any questions? We still got some time left, so it's a good opportunity for you to educate yourself more if you want to learn more about it. So yeah, Jennifer, I see you unmuted. You want to ask a question?
Yes, Andre, thank you so much. Patrick, tell me, what's happening if I die? Let's say in my company, I am the only director.
Yes.
Are you gonna add extra benefits or extra premium, or am I going to pay more so that if I'm no longer here tomorrow, so my business it doesn't struggle because I'm no longer in the business. How do you handle that one?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that question, Jennifer. Jennifer, that part falls under the long-term insurance. Now, there is cover that you will be able to apply for that will pay either the debt of the business, so that in the event of your death, all the liabilities that you have as a business owner are paid off by this long-term risk type of cover. Alternatively, you are also able to take a cover specifically that you can cede to your financiers. You financed the property of your business to the tune of 5 million, and you apply for the risk policy that it covers that 5 million. And in the event of your death, then this policy will pay directly to your financier. And if there's a balance, it will then be paid to your family member. You bought this property for 5 million, you have paid it for a number of years, it is now left with 3 million, and it is covered for 5 million. The insurer will pay the 3 million to the bank and pays 2 million unto you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, noted. Thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, but it is not part of the short-term policy, it's rather the long-term risk policy.
Yeah,
And
life insurance. Just a question while we're talking there. I think many of us are either, single directors or single owners of companies. But there's instances where we've got multiple owners or directors of the company, and what could happen is that they can take out insurance on each other's lives, so that, for instance, if one of the partners dies, that the insurance will pay out so that that business can continue to run and it won't be closed down. So maybe you want to expand a little bit on that, Patrick, if you can. I don't know if that's within your scope of knowledge or something that you cover and talk about.
Yes, Andre. So thank you so much for that. In fact, I'm happy that the time allows us to talk about these discussions outside the public liability scope. And it is true, when there is more than one director in the business, 2, 3 or so, you are then severally liable for all the debts of the business, and you are equally responsible and probably interested to make sure that the business survives even beyond your life as one partner. Now, in that case, if you do not have a policy in place that will pay off the shares of another partner, you might be faced with a situation where you'll have to work with my wife or with my child who doesn't know anything about this business, so that he or she takes over my shares. Now, to avoid that dilemma, you take up a cover that covers the director's shares. We are 3 in the business. We have 33.3% of shares to the value of 1 million or so. Then each partner is going to take a policy against another partner, so that in the event of death of this partner, that policy will pay for the family of another director, and that director will no longer be part of the business. So only the directors who will be left behind will continue with the business, who will now change the directorship or the percentage of the business. But which is good, because at least the legacy remains with your family in the form of money paid out to your family. It minimizes delays and complications after the business, and it also ensures business continuity after the death of one. Thank you so much. It is part of the long-term policy. I'm also dealing with it.
Yeah, and that is specifically very important when you've got partners that's got very specific knowledge about a business. Let's say that person is a highly qualified engineer or something like that. And now if there's no insurance on his life, his wife might come and take over the shares, but she's got no knowledge of running that business or what to do. And that can have a material effect on the business and what happens to that business.
Andre, another cover for small businesses we do have pension or provident fund cover from minimum number of 5 as members of this policy. And it's very affordable. It's about 8.5% of every employee's contribution. The employer and employee can negotiate to say that is the employee paying 100% of the 8.5%, or the employer will pay half, the employee pays half. But it's really something very affordable. It has got a death benefit, disability, funeral cover for the employee and the family members. You must remember, ladies and gentlemen, that in the event of death of any of your employee, whether you are paying this person a salary every month, but the family members will come to you and say that this person has worked for you for 5 years, 10 years, 3 years or so. Now, what are you saying? And we don't keep money aside for that. Whereas the premium is something affordable that you can pay every month to avoid this type of unpleasant discussions in the event of death of your family member or your employee rather. So I also help with that, and the minimum number is 5 employees. Quite affordable. I've got a number of businesses around here who have put that in place. There have been claims and they were paid, and it's really making one happy when you see that claims are being paid, especially in my area here. It makes me happy to add that value. Let's talk about that when we have time.
Anybody got any more questions that they would like to ask about insurance? Because I think it's quite a wide topic. And although today's talk was specifically aimed around public liability and I think maybe just to reiterate again, Patrick, maybe just like try and summarize or give a definition of public liability and why is it important again, just to close off, why is it so important, and what is the risk if you don't take out public liability?
Thank you so much, Andre. Once again, public liability, it covers claims against your business from third parties. Third parties might be your employee, it might be your guest, it might be anyone that you're dealing with. There are a number of claims, some of which we have not covered, but when a claim arises against your business, the third party or public liability cover or policy will be able to help at least. That it takes away that stress from you. There are a number of covers that we have spoken about, some we did not, and there is that overlap between short-term and long-term insurance cover, but we need to have this cover in place. In the event where you don't have this cover in place, unfortunately, you will have to deal with this because you are directly liable and responsible for all debts and claims that face your business as the director. And you don't want your hard-earned properties, your investments being sold to cover the debts of your business because you did not pay 10 Rand, 50 Rand, or 200 Rand premium to protect yourself against these claims. Is very important. And also, it's a matter of compliance. Compliance at times, it looks expensive, but not being compliant, it's even a lot more expensive than having compliance in place. So let's make sure that we are compliant by having this type of cover in place. I will be able to help you. I will send my business card, Andre, or email so that he can share with all of us. But I do believe that you do have my number. Let me please help. I will not charge you any cent to have a look at your current policy, whether you are adequately covered or not. I will be able to advise.
Okay, Belfour has got a question. He's got his hand up. Belfour, what would you like to ask?
Yes, Andre. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Patrick. I need to find out, especially with the music concerts, there is always public liability that comes with it. And what is like the payment structures? What is the... Can you just maybe just explain to me something about public liability for the concerts?
Okay, the concert, we're going to look at the type of risks that the host will be faced with. In the event where there is a stampede at the concert and a number of people lose their lives, as the contractor or the contract holder, you are a business, you have been given that tender to arrange a concert. You are responsible for every single loss of life or a damage to any person's property during the course of that concert. Now, in the event where there is that type of a claim, your public liability policy will be able to claim. But you remember earlier on, as part of my presentation, I was saying, where are you covered? You are covered either at your premises or at an event where you have custody for that particular event. You are holding an event at a hall, that hall you have hired, you are responsible, it is under your custody during the period of that event. Now, meaning that you will be covered because you are responsible for that, it is your own event. And any claim that arises there, know that you will be responsible for it. And that is why it is important, so that when you are going to have an activity, sit down with your broker and say, I'm going to have this activity, I would like to know if I will be covered. And just maybe to simulate what are the type of risks that may arise at this particular event. List a number of them, 10, 5, 6 or so, and say, in the event this happens, will I be covered, yes or no? If I'm not, what do I do to make sure that I'm covered? Are you
Okay,
answered, Balfour?
yes, then thank you so much. Is it a once-off kind of insurance? And what is the payment structure of such insurance?
Thank you so much. Public insurance, it is part of your policy. It is added in your policy. It is compulsory. It will always be part of your policy. However, in terms of the payment structure, may you understand your business, that my business is taking risks of 1 million, 5 million, 10 million or so. Now, my cover should be relative to the risk that my business is exposed to. And that value will then determine the amount of premium that you pay. But when looking at the premium for public liability, it's really insignificant. It is part of the policy. It's something that you will not be able to pick up even as part of the policy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Balfour. Anybody else want to ask anything more about insurance? Because I think, and certainly from my side, thanks very much, Patrick, for giving us all your information. And I would really encourage everybody that is on this call to make contact with Patrick. Patrick will put Patrick's, he can put his business card on the group. We can distribute it. But I really would encourage you guys to consider your portfolio or review your policy. I'm not saying you need to work necessarily with Patrick. I'm not selling his services.
Yeah.
He's offering you a free assessment. He's offering you a free quotation. He's offering you a lot of free things. For me, it's more important. Yes, of course, if Patrick can benefit from getting work out of our incubator, fantastic. But for me, it's more important that I know that your businesses are secure in case of something going wrong. And I think that is the crux of the matter today, is that are you absolutely 100% sure that you are covered for all eventualities in your business? Because, I take an example. Let's say you've got a bed and breakfast and you're supposed to have security. Somebody breaks in and they shoot one of your guests or whatever, or they stab them, or something happens, and you're not covered for that. You're going to have a serious problem as a guest house owner.
No, definitely, Andre, you spot on. We need to make sure that we have at least a discussion so that you understand the risk that your business is facing. And like Andre said, I'm available. My office is in Motivistat. I can travel to your business and have a look at your premises, your risk, and give an advice.
And educating yourself and learning more about it is really, it is what is 1 hour of your day or 2 hours of your day? What is it going to cost you? Nothing. So by all means, utilize that opportunity.
Definitely, definitely. And colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed it. It was for me an opportunity to share information with my colleagues. Looking forward to see all of you individually at your businesses. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
My pleasure, Posh.
Patrick,
Thank you.
thank you so much.